Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between the Warriors of Chaos and High Elves. It's going to be myself with Village facing off against the Catholic Alcoholic, who is going to be rocking Larry, looking to drop some fat heals on some elite units, some Swordmasters, Phoenix Guard, as well as Sisters of Avalorn, so some very good targets for those heals. Now, as far as my build goes, going to be using the epic Chaos Warrior with Great Opens in the front line, and these guys definitely can go fisticuffs with Elvish Infantry. In terms of trades with White Lions, like head-to-head, I wonder who would win that. Let's look at the stat line. 36, 32, 38 against 38, 40, 34. So more weapon strength, 9,000 HP against 7,5. So probably would go to the Chaos Warrior Great Weapon simply because of the HP differential. Granted, there is healing over there as well. So we got those guys, and we do also have Village and Eacold. I know that the Catholic likes to do some funky builds, so I was like, okay, he's probably not going to be playing Imric. Maybe going to be having some White Lions and, Narnia Lions and things like that. So I'm like, let's get a good foot presence and see if we can catch him off guard here. So it is going to be Eacold Hellbrass with healing, really good against Elvish Troopers. And Village is kind of like Sigvald, extremely hard to kill. And he gives you good, durable grind on an objective on top of having Infernal Gateway, which is really good at killing High Elf Troopers. If there's a Sister, if there's a White Lion of Grace, Swordmaster, or Phoenix Guard, he's going to be more than apt to deal with those. And also the Fireborn. If you can catch their cavalry sitting in a fight, you can nuke them. We got Armored Trolls, a couple throwing axes here, going to be parking up on the objective. And that is it for my starting build. Now, for my opponent's build over here, he's going to be rocking White Lions of Grace, a single Sister of Avalorn for a little bit of poke and utility. And on top of that, we got Swordmasters, a couple of Phoenix Guard on this outside to deal with Trolls. Chaos Armored Trolls are very, very meta in this matchup. They're excellent against a lot of the Elven units, so having the Phoenix Guard is a nice pick. And Larry is going to be there with the healing via Earthblood, as well as Foz Protection and the Star of Avalorn. So my first call in here in the back is going to be some more Armored Chaos Trolls, seeing that he has a lot of targets for them. The Phoenix Guard, not Phoenix Guard, the Swordmasters, as well as the White Lions of Grace. Are all very, very good targets for those bad boys. We'll do a little bit of fast forwarding. I do have some split pushing going on out here on the side. These Chaos Marauders is actually a really cool color army scheme as well. I really like the black and blue. In retrospect, yeah, I do have a Nurgle painted army in tabletop, but if I could go back and do it again, I'd maybe do something a little bit more undivided. So when I play them as like Mark of Khorne, it doesn't seem so ridiculous. But yes, Marauders are moving up on the objective here, but immediately the Catholic is going to be disrupting that with his Reavers, each of whom have decent capture weight. They have 4 each against my 10 here, but he's poking and is going to be parking a Spearman on the objective, so overall, not really going to be able to threaten this much. But our main army is going to be moving up. Blood for the Blood God and all that, or maybe Change for the Changer, I suppose is more apt considering my army is more Tzeentch focused. We do, of course, have Village and Eacold Hellbrass, and my initial game plan was deal with the Sisters of Avalorn. I know that they're my biggest threat. They're punishing my cavalry. They're really good against my Chaos Armored Trolls, fire damage, armor piercing. I mean, that's super good against Trolls. They're weak to fire and they have high armor, right? So he has all the formula. More Marauders with Great Weapons going to be moving out, and now the forces of the Dark Gods will be descending on the Elves here, and we are going to be having a big old melee clash. As I do eat some firepower here, the Chaos Armored Trolls are getting it, but Tzeentch's Vortex is going to be getting dropped, and these Sisters going to be getting it pretty good. He tries to move at the last second, but it's a little bit too late. And there's going to be some healing to counter this, but this is going to be devastating damage against the Sisters. It was not an overcast, it was just a basic variant, if memory serves, and he does counter with Star of Avalorn, which keeps them from losing models. Otherwise, they would lose even more. But I was very happy with that. It disrupted them, stopped them from shooting. You can see all the models are getting up. And now I have Village as well as Eacold, and they're going to be making their way through the battle lines, trying to get into the secondary and shut down the Sisters of Avalorn from shooting. Chaos Warriors are dominating pretty hard with the assistance of the Armored Trolls. The White Lions of Grace, despite getting some defensive buffs, are getting pounded pretty badly. Here in the middle, though, my Armored Trolls do falter, and these Chaos Warriors having a bit of an even trade here, using my throwing axes to throw into the sides of these units, while Eacold is going to be trying to disrupt the archer units, and he's got some really, really cool attack animations, hoping he's going to be able to get the job done. So back up towards the sky here, we do see a Sun Dragon being called in from Catholic. Really, really nice call. It's a cheap armor-piercing unit, good against Chaos Warrior equivalents and Trolls, has breath attacks and can also terror route things, and it's very budget-friendly as well. So he gets a good breath attack down on the Chaos Warriors and the Armored Trolls, melting many of those foul heretics, trying to help these White Lions of Grace. And that's something, man, I play a lot of Old World tabletop, and I really wish they would make infantry better. Infantry, like any mid-tier or elite infantry in Old World typically just suck. Chaff-centric infantry could be good for tar pitting and swarming and just having, weight of numbers, but overall, I really hope they do something to buff elite infantry in Old World. It's a bummer. But objectives 2 and 3 are controlled by myself, the Warriors of Chaos, Catholic, rocking objectives 1 down here, and my Marauders were pushed back. I did do a little bit of skirmishing over there, but Swordmasters of Hoth were able to send a message and push me back. But as far as value trading goes, it's pretty even. He's a little bit ahead on value here, 26 against 28. He does have more healing than me, but I also have 3 armored Chaos Trolls, all of whom are constantly healing, right? So my faction is going to be regenerating value as well. And my infantry are performing very, very well. The Chaos Warriors have been able to grind through the white lines of Krace effectively. Here we do have some Marauders arriving who are going to get cut apart by Rangers. Rangers are an excellent counter against Chaos Marauders because they themselves have good combat stats, they have anti-infantry, and they don't need to get through any armor. Marauders are very low in that regard. So Rangers will uptrade, Marauders are a lot cheaper, but they'll trade very effectively there and won't take too much of a punishment in that way. So I've re-rallied my trolls back here. So we do have 3 Chaos Armored Trolls, all of whom are relatively healthy at this point. And I'm just kind of like keeping them back in the shadows, letting them regenerate health because they have a lot of room to regenerate in their healing cap. Classic land battle tactics in land battle, it's a little bit more effective because you can very loosely engage with like SEs and maybe a couple chaff units while your trolls regenerate a ton of HP and a ton of value. But in this case, in domination, there's a little bit more urgency with the game ending, so I have to get these guys in and fight over on the objective here and get my money's worth. So here comes the Armored Chaos Trolls. Village as well as Eocold are doing really, really good work, just grinding through a lot of the Elven units, and Village's value so far is probably pretty good. He's got about 800, so not bad at all. And now we're going to be dropping another Vortex right on the Swordmasters, and the Troll's coming in. It's going to be Troll Pound Town. He tries to move in to dodge it, but the Vortex is going to be catching a lot of these guys. You can see Tzeentch's presence pulling in the children of the Donut Island, and they're going to get torn apart. Those Swordmasters of Hoth get melted. Big value train there for Village, and Tzeentch is smiling this day as we've done some good damage so far. Low ground play. He is going to be going with the Rangers here towards Objective 3, and I will be countering by sending some Chaos Warriors and Marauders down there to make sure I don't lose it. But on that same note, the middle objective is in flux, and it looks like my opponent is going to be able to wrestle this. Sisters of Avalorn did stabilize, which is giving him good anti-troll powers, and I haven't been able to fully shut them down, so that definitely sucks. On the backside, the Dragon is routing the Trolls, which is a very, very good play. Trolls have god-awful leadership, and they don't like to be fighting big, scary things. So just trying to get them away here and support them, maybe pull in some throwing axes to help a little bit if we can, but I just want to regenerate that HP, get that value, and try and stay in this game. Right now, the Elves are doing pretty good on the point, but I do have some fresh Chaos Warriors arriving, and a unit of Marauders as well. Chaos Warriors very meaty, Village and Eocold trying to chew through my opponent's capture weight. Meanwhile, on the low ground, I call in the Chaos Knights of Tzeentch, which I think are one of the better versions of Chaos Knights. The magic damage in this matchup does matter. The High Elves do have a couple units with physical resist, right? Rangers have it, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, and then also, yeah, I think the Cavalry do too. Yeah, you can see the Dragon Princes have the 20%. But the Fireborn Arwar with their new armor piercing will definitely dominate the Tzeentch Chaos Knights in a straight fight, so I didn't want to take a fair fight there. But the Chaos Knights are still a really good inclusion. Just using them as a sweeper piece to come down here, clean up what you can. And I felt as if the Chaos Knights would be able to handle the Rangers, so I grabbed my 2 infantry units, which the Fireborn don't want to be fighting as Chaos Warriors, really. And I'm going to start waddling up towards the point here. Fireborn looking like they want to move in here. I have my Trolls re-lined up, so we got 3 of them. And I'm happy to take that fight with the support of some Marauder Horsemen. Eocold and Village here, able to grind down the white lines of Krace a little bit, probably up to about 1,500 value here, about 1,600. Eocold himself is going to be sitting at 580, which isn't terrible for this point in the game. And here comes the Troll Toll. So I move in, I take the initiative, which is dangerous because he can countercharge me with the Fireborn now, which he's going to. But I figured we're going to be all right. We have our characters here. Let's kind of try and see if this bait works. It could be a disastrous backfire if my Trolls get mass routed, but now we are engaged here, and I knew I had a Vortex ability coming off cooldown with Winds of Magic here, so I'm like, okay, let's like see if we can get him comfortable here and then drop the Vortex and see if that can do it. Because if I can get rid of the Fireborn while still having my Chaos Knights on the battlefield, then we're in a winning position. And here comes another Vortex. Brutal damage once again. Tzeentch cackling all the way to the bank as the Elven Troopers get ripped apart by this Eldritch Vortex, and you can see the HP on the Fireborn is getting tanked pretty heavily. And now I call in the Chaos Knights, a little bit more comfortable about taking that fight here. Down on the low ground, Reavers trying to ninja my side objective. Catholic really, really good on these side points. We saw him doing that quite a bit in the championship of the season finals. And here comes the old Marauders moving down towards Objective 3, but he's probably going to be able to get this if I don't respond, so we do have to detach the Chaos Knights from the middle engagement. And now they're going to be hustling down towards Objective Trace to try and stop the Illyrian Reavers. And the Marauders will eventually come there to make sure that we get the objective. Now, this is a really nice play by him. He sends a 500 gold unit, which then forces me to respond with a 1,500 gold unit. So the proportion of value is not, unless I just wipe this unit out, it's not going to be great for me. But he does lapse in micro a little bit, and the Reavers are going to get caught up. Back towards the middle, Chaos Warriors have arrived, and the steady presence of Eocold as well as Village have been doing well. We did make a little bit of a cheeky play for the low ground objective. I called them the Knights of Immolation, but I made the blunder of letting them get charged by the Fireborn here, so that felt pretty bad. and I start to take some pretty heavy casualties on them in terms of HP, not casualties, but HP, and I'm hoping they'll be able to stabilize, but I do manage to retreat with most of them, at least some. We call in some Chaos Poison Warhounds and some Marauders, and when they all get in, we will turn and start fighting against those Fireborn, who have gotten the Blessed Phos protection on them. That's going to be very, very good. On the middle, Eocold is hunting down Larry and has gotten some decent damage. And now Village, the Changeling, the Cursling. Yeah, it's not the Changeling, Cursling. Now got all these lings in their names, but he's going to be rolling over 2,700 value. And this is going to be even more value for him. Because as Village gets kills, he does get some cool stacking stats. So currently right now, he's got Spellmastery of 18%, which is not insignificant. Melee defense and melee attack, so it's decent, right? He's got good stats here. So he's going to take care of those sisters. We got Armored Trolls heading back in. Low ground objective is stabilized. The Chaos Knights were able to catch the infantry here and also chase back some of the mobility, and now I'm going to roll them back over to the middle objective. Meanwhile, Catholic, maybe feeling as if I'm out of Winds of Magic, is going to be calling in some Phoenix Guard and some White Lines of Grace towards all three objectives. And it kind of looks like he saved up and did like a... I wasn't looking at this and paying attention to that, but yeah, the rate at which they came out, these three units, looks like he kind of... That's his playstyle. He kind of like saves up and then does several units at once to try and, you know, overwhelm you. Whereas if you're just doing units as soon as you have the money, you might not be able to respond to that, which is kind of interesting. Marauder Horsemen going to be sacrificed into Reavers. I mean, they'll hold okay. Reavers will dominate them, but just wanted to kind of hold them at bay. Meanwhile, the Fireborn are just swarmed by a bunch of Trash House units. So we have Marauders with great weapons who, you know, they have AP and they have decent melee attack. But Poison Hounds and the Knights of Immolation with their magic damage are able to drag down the Fireborn. And now I'm feeling pretty confident on this objective. Granted, we do have an influx of White Lions who may be able to win against these numbers. We'll have to see. Back in the middle, objective is owned by myself and the Warriors of Chaos. Chaos Knights of Tzeentch going to be retreating. Have barely taken any damage, up to 100 kills so far. So very happy with their performance. Here, Village, the Cursling, is laying a beat down on the Sun Dragon. Sun Dragon probably up to about 1,500 value so far, about 1,200. Not bad at all. Trolls do get broken back, and the points are very, very close in this game. Chaos Warriors rallying and coming back towards the side point, and I do manage to wrestle this objective, which was pretty damn big. I was very, very happy about that. But there is going to be a counterpunch as Reavers and White Lions move in, and I think these Marauders are probably going to lose it. Knights of Immolation will definitely provide some nice support, but my unit quality here isn't amazing, and he is going to be flipping this objective, but I'll fight and try and hold it for as long as I possibly can. So back on the side, we do have Village and Eocold doing all right. And it looks like he is going to be rotating down towards Objective 1 with his Dragon to make sure that he wins that quickly. I was calling in some reinforcements, so he does respond correctly, because if he didn't send the Dragon down there, the Trolls might be able to turn the tide of this fight. In the meantime, my Poison Hounds are going to be surrounding these Reavers and getting a decent charge on them. But the Chaos Knights have returned from their conquest, and now the Phoenix Guard taking heavy casualties from Eocold. Eocold is basically designed to deal with these type of infantry, right? He's going to be able to do some floating samurai attacks here as the Cursling does move in and is going to be getting a big bonking on the head of those units. Chaos Knights, where are they going to be heading? Definitely not into the Phoenix Guard. That is a feel-bad situation for me. Marauders with great weapons will trade well into the Phoenix Guard as well, though losing 1-to-1 from a cost perspective, it's very, very good for you. So down here, High Elves do get the point. I am up 1053 against 882. So very, very close game here. Certainly anybody's. My value is up by about 100, so pretty insignificant considering we both have healing. I would say it's a very close game. Although maybe, I mean, I don't know. I have Tzeentch shield healing too, which has been going into play. So I would say this is a very even game in terms of value. We both have a pretty similar army strength on the battlefield here. So pulling the Marauders up from the low ground objective, I know I'm going to be able to probably wrestle this point here, and my characters and their sustained fighting will scale better into the late game than Larry. You know, when Larry runs out of Winds of Magic, she needs to get her value early on, but she's going to fall off. Whereas Eocold and Village are going to be a constant source of value grinding. And that's kind of the thing with Caster Lords versus Sustained Combat Lords. That's why, you know, Combat Lords that also have Magic are so good, right? Because they can do both. Like, they'll provide great Winds of Magic value, but also even when that runs out, they'll do good. So Chaos Knights finding the ideal target, plowing through these Haggard Elves, getting a beautiful charge right there. Ton of HP damage, and now with their magic damage and their good combat stats, there's going to be an unholy beatdown here on these Rangers. But the Phoenix Guard do make their way over, and it looks like he is going to be going for some Elvish shenanigans as he does come and try and steal my side objective, which is a good play. I was kind of out of position for that. And that's one thing, I've been playing a couple games with him. He's really good at stealing these objectives and playing the points, which is certainly very, very different than old land battle. So Phoenix Guard here are hanging in there, 2,700. Phos protection going to be getting dropped on them, and I'm sure they're getting some good value against my Chaos Knights. But the Chaos Knights just trying to clear out the capture weight. We have Marauders with great weapons on top of the Phoenix Guard. They're taking heavy casualties there. And down on the low ground as well, it's looking like we could be threatening all the points because these White Lions are going to get hard countered by the Chaos Armored Trolls. The Sun Dragon actually getting routed as well. You can see he gets pushed back by the Poison Hounds and the Trolls, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get this one. Granted, the Reavers might be able to turn the tide of that fight. Now, another big Vortex going down there. It does get dropped like it's hot on top of the Phoenix Guard, and it does manage to clean that unit out. So we have been able to get some huge value so far this game from Village. Probably over 3,000. Yeah, he's at 3,400 right now, which is pretty insane. I mean, you rarely see Village do that well. He only costs like 1,400 with the kit that I brought. Very, very bare bones here, but, you know, he's been doing his thing. So Tzeentch Knights colliding in, and we are pretty close to winning on the points. The low ground objective here is going to be held by some Marauders as well as some basic Marauders who will probably be sitting there the rest of the game. At this point, I knew it was a triple cap situation for my opponent, so my game plan was to loosely reinforce Objective 3. You can see we're going to be kind of rallying some units over here and just fight on Objective 2 for as long as possible. We do have a lot of stuff, but he does have the Dragon and does have some decent momentum. There's a potential opportunity for him to push me off the middle. Because a lot of my units here are very low quality, right? It's mainly Marauder Horsemen and basic Marauders and things like that. So like a single Dragon Breath attack or big like Terror Route with some good quality infantry coming in, like these Rangers, which are decent quality. Man, and I still haven't been able to get these damn Sisters of Avalorn. Like, they're up to 1,700 value, and considering how hard I punished them earlier, that's pretty insane. So Village the Cursling laying a beat down on old Larry here, but Larry, she's probably going to be able to escape. Maybe. I mean, she's 36 speed, he's 35. It's looking a little bit dodgy. We're going to see if maybe Village gets it done. So reinforcing the bottom objective, Aecold Hellbrass is going to be duking it out with the Sun Dragon. He's got good enough stats that even though he is anti-infantry, he could still probably do some work against a big old dragon here. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to drag that down. Middle objective is starting to flip a little bit. Rangers, Laps, and Micro there definitely need to get up on the point. And on the side here, I have my Armored Trolls battling Reavers. But I think the Reavers and the White Lions can probably beat the Armored Chaos Trolls. It's a tough one. Maybe the Trolls will be able to edge that one out. We'll have to see. Some more Armored Chaos Trolls moving in, and like I said, the Dragon surviving was a big one. If I had killed that, this wouldn't have happened. But we get a big Terror Route right here, which is able to break my back, and suddenly I was like, oh man, I thought I really had this game on lock, but he is able to get this, but I simply do not think he's going to have enough time to get the low ground objective. My Heretics are down here, I have Marauders, and arguably if I send those Marauders to the middle instead of sending them down there, I could have maybe just won the middle fight. But I felt like this was the safer play, and it's most certainly going to be paying dividends here. As the Chaos Armor Trolls get there, I got 2 Poison Hounds, Aecold and Village cackling all the way to the bank. 4,000 value Village, basically. Absolutely insane. Really cool to see those kind of niche characters putting in work in a competitive setting, right? Against a top-tier opponent. Catholic won the last season finals. So if it can work against him, granted, I don't know if this is like an experiment from him, this build. I suspect it might be. I feel like he would probably normally use Imric in this matchup, but maybe he can let us know in the comments below. Down here, we have the Reavers swarming around the back, but the remnants of the Tzeentch Knights able to fend them off, and that is going to be it. GG, well played. The Vessels of Chaos have gotten the dub. So the build was good, I think. Now, I'm really curious, though, how it would have done against a Dragon build, right? We still would have had the same efficacy against the Elven Infantry. The Warriors did fine. They held their own. Nothing too crazy there. We had the Throwing Axes to deal with big threats, but is that enough is the question, right? Like, if he had come in with, like, a classic Imric healing build, arguably, though, Imric is less good at playing wide and playing all the different points because he's so expensive. So the army's just smaller and your troop quality is worse. But, Imric might have just dominated my characters and maybe my Throwing Axes wouldn't have been enough to deal with him. That's my only concern about playing against that style of play. But yeah, cool build from him. Got to see some awesome elite infantry. And we'll be back with more replay soon, my friends. You guys take care of yourself.